Hello, friends, and welcome to Empower You 2 podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Paris, and I'm excited because you are in the building with me. You can be anywhere in the world, but you have chosen to be here with me, and I am so humbled and appreciative. Let me tell you about this show. Each and every single week, we continue to empower you to greatness that is truly going to help you, whether you are a person that have experienced a heartbreak, have gone through a divorce, or have endured levels of trauma of any kind, or you're just a person trying to rebuild their life and themselves, and now you are finally ready to live a life full of abundance, joy, and peace, then this show is for you. So with that said, thank you again for being here. I am extremely grateful. I'm excited to be on this journey with you because together we are empowered for greatness. You ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Empower You 2 podcast. I am your host, Natasha Paris, the empowerment strategist and the transformational speaker. Super excited to come before you today because today we have a topic that I know a lot of people can resonate with, especially those who have been through divorce or have been through a breakup and they now have children. Whew. That is very, very difficult. And so our topic for episode 32 of my friends is how to deal with an ex when children are involved. I'm going to say that again. How to deal with an ex-husband or ex-wife when children are involved. And what I know for sure, speaking from my own experience, it can be a very difficult task. It can be very difficult. And so I have a story. As a licensed clinician, I have also supported women, right? Women and men who were going through the process. And what made me not so much an expert, but a person that have gone through it, what made me really be able to speak to their situation is the fact that I have been through it myself and still going through it after being divorced for 9 years. Yes, my ex-husband is... He's very testy. Let me just say that just to be kind, okay? He's very testy. And so with that said, let's jump right into this. Look, if this information resonates with you or the prior podcast segments have resonated with you, I hope that you go to your favorite platform and hit that 5-star button and leave a review. Because one of the things that I often say is that if there is something that works for you, believe me, I'm sure it will work for someone else. So sharing is caring, my friends. Sharing is caring. Okay, so let's jump right into this episode 32. All right, so as a licensed clinician, I have come across many individuals that have said, look, man, I don't know what to do. You know, my ex is very difficult. He or she, I'm not going to preface one gender versus another, but I definitely have an experience. So I want to say he a lot, right? So one of the things that one of my clients came in, and this was a very difficult situation. She found out that her ex-husband was not who he said he was, right? He's not who he said he was. He actually was hiding from the feds. It was something out of like a Lifetime movie, my friends. And she came into my office really emotionally broken. Even though she looked good on the outside, she was emotionally broken and mentally distraught. And one of the things that she shared was that she fell for the okie doke. She fell for him because he swept her off her feet, But little did she know that after being married and 2 children later, married for, I think they were into their 8th year of marriage, and 2 children at the time, her children were 5 and 7, that he would have wiped out all of her retirement and trust fund. In addition to that, the home that they were living in, he pretended to have paid the mortgage, but yet when it came down to it, he had taken out a second mortgage on the home and had owed the first and the second. And so now her home was the home that she purchased prior to their marriage. The home that she purchased, beautiful, beautiful brownstone, was being taken away by the sheriff, by the mortgage company. And now she was left with being homeless with her 2 children, scared for her life because she thought that she was going to be an accessory to a crime of financial evasion or financial concerns, where he was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and he owed lots of not so good people. In addition to that, she walked into the relationship basically a millionaire. She was a millionaire when she met him, and now she was on government funding. Talk about how devastating that was. In addition to that, he was not financially responsible for his boys. In addition, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And so when we talk about the concerns evolving or revolving around a spouse and having to be connected to them still because you have children, right? It's a difference if you were married to someone or you were in a long-term relationship and you guys have no ties whatsoever. But when children are involved, it is as though, I'm going to say that again, when children are involved, it is as though you feel like you are tied to a rope or a chain around your ankle, and someone just said, I'm pushing you in the water. I'm pushing you in this 20 feet ocean or lake, and I want you to dare to swim up. My goodness, I want you to dare to swim up, knowing that you have this heavy weight tied to your ankle, or you have this attachment of a rope or something that's crazy, right? And so that is the topic of discussion, my friends, is how do you manage? Because I personally, and like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I said that it is difficult. My ex is, and I don't want to talk bad about him, but he is not. He really uses daggers and ammunition to still hurt me because of the fact that things are going well in my life. And so how do you manage that? Okay, let's jump into some tips. The first thing is, and this is coming from my own experience, and then I'll talk about my client again and reintroduce her, is you have to be in a place where you know what you know what you know. And that is being in a place that you know that if you are going through it, that you are better without them and the situation that they're going through or the situation that they're taking you through. And how do you know that you're better is that it is easy to say, you know what, I'm just going to go back to them because I don't want to deal with the drama and I don't want to deal with all of the stuff that comes with being separated. But I will say that it's important for you to know that you will get past this. And when I say past this, and I said I've been in it for 9 years, right? And it's not so much that the person will change, because that is not the objective, my friends. It's not to change the person, because guess what? When you're trying to change a person, what ends up happening? you get more frustrated, you get more upset, you become revengeful and bitter. The goal is to focus on what you can control. And so my first tip is to focus on you and what it is that you do. And I know some parents will say, I'm tired of constantly financially providing when there's an able-bodied parent there and they're choosing not to. They're choosing to be self-absorbed. They're choosing to be not present, or they're choosing to just really hurt the children's feelings. And my friends, it's important to understand also, as a licensed therapist, many of those individuals that we're talking about who are really concerned about their own well-being rather than everyone else's definitely have some mental health issues that have not been diagnosed. And I see it quite often. For my client, she was dealing with a narcissist. She was also dealing with a man that was totally broken. And yes, it doesn't make the thing or the situation better, but what it does do, it lets you know that you have to pick up the piece. And I know it's exhausting. I know it's tiresome, but the objective is to make sure that your children are healthy. Right? But before they are healthy, you have to be. And so you have to look at it as, okay, God has given me this and I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Waking up every morning saying, I am going to win this battle that is trying to defeat me. And recognizing that you are the stable parent. Because if you acknowledge that there are things that are happening that is unfair and you are feeling like giving up, what's going to happen to the children? So I want you to focus on yourself and knowing, the first thing is knowing that you are doing all that you can and you cannot change anyone else. Okay? The second tip is, yes, what we want to do is we want to put our children, second. I hate to say it. You have to be first. Some people will say put your children first. But if you are exhausted, if you are mentally struggling, you have to deal with you in order for you to heal and support your children, right? So once you are recognizing that, look, I only have control of myself, then you can really support your children, okay? And remember that your priority should always be your well-being and their happiness, because your well-being makes them happy, right? And so what we need to do, and I say we, avoid involving them in the conflicts and shield them from the negative interaction between you and your ex-husband or your ex-wife or your ex-baby daddy or baby mama. Like, if you want to go that route, shield them. Because let me say this, in my own life, my ex-husband has said some things that were very hurtful, which was not true, but it stung like a needle, a knife cutting into the sides of me. And he knew that. And remember, the enemy wants to take you down, especially when they are watching you grow despite them not being present. And so it is so important, right? Because I know that I've talked about him. I try not to. I really do, right? I've said to the kids, look, he's not this and he's not that. And I have to catch myself. And so what I'm saying to you is try to avoid involving them in the conflict. You know what I've told my kids? I said to them, if I'm talking about your dad that you don't like, say, Mom, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be involved. And I said, and this is what I told them, because sometimes you have to catch yourself, because you'll get in this cycle of just saying the things that, in retrospect is not the best, but out of frustration and anger, you may say some things, especially if it's involving the children, of course, right? So with that said, protect your children. The third is I want you to remain respectful in communication. And if they're not respectful, because remember, look, you can't control anyone else. You really cannot control anyone else. And so what you do is, if you find that he or she has put you in a place where they just say boo and you are like, right? The best way to do it is, I've done it, block them. It's just like, look, because remember, you have to protect your peace. And you might disagree with me, right? And I'm not saying I am the answer to all answers, but what I am saying is that if you're unable to have a respectful level of dialogue or communication, then you're going to have to step away, and you're going to have to find, which leads me to tip 4. You're going to have to set boundaries, right? And if they cannot respect your what you say and how they treat you, then what I would often say to you is that you have to include guidelines and boundaries. So, for example, dropping off and picking up. It may not be dropping them off, at the house. You may have to drop them off at a friend's house, and then the other parent picks up the child, right? It might be that, or picking them up from school, right? Versus having to pick them up from the house, just to avoid the conflict, and also the children witnessing you guys arguing, right? Because that puts a stress and a strain on those children. And one of the things that I've said before is that in addition to protecting your peace, you have to protect the peace of those children as well. Because they'll remember that. They'll remember that, right? The 5th point is, especially if you have small children, you may have to consider mediation or family counseling. I've done it, right? Because if the communication becomes consistently toxic or difficult, you're going to have to get a second person to come in, or I should say a third person, a middle person to come in and say, look, you know what? This is about the children. I'm a neutral party in this, and I'm going to help facilitate a productive conversation or discussion to find a common ground and improve the overall co-parenting relationship. The co-parenting, because you guys are co-parenting, right? And again, it is important to make sure that they are not involved in the conflict to the best of your ability. Try to avoid, and you definitely need to consider having a third party come in and really mediate the situation, right? Another piece, number 6, is focus on consistency and a routine. Consistency is crucial, and structure is crucial for the children's well-being, because what it does is it provides stability and a sense of security. A sense of security. What do I mean by that? That means that if they are on a schedule, right? For my ex-husband and I with our children, I made a decision that we were not going to do 1 week off, 1 week on, where the child or my children would only see one parent per week. Like, I have a daughter. I had to do her hair, right? And for those who know, like, really, black girl hair, come on now. I had to do her hair, right? And so I made a decision that we would do 2 days on, 2 days off. What did that look like? What that looked like was that on Monday and Tuesday, the kids would, go to school, right, and come back home. But then on Wednesday, their father would pick them up from the bus stop, right? Pick them up from the bus stop or after school and take them home with him. And then from Wednesday through Friday, they would be with him. And then Friday evening or Friday afternoon, I will do the same thing. I would pick them up from school or after school, and then they'll be with me for the weekend. And then the cycle begins, and then that following Monday, he would do the same and pick them up from school, right? And we did that, and the kids got to the point where they knew what weekend it was. They knew that they were going to see mom and dad in the same week. And my goal was to be consistent. In addition, being consistent with staying in one place, right? We've moved since we've been divorced twice, right? And we've been in those two locations for some time, not every 2 years, not every 2 years, right? So there was a level of consistency, and I wanted them to go to the same schools, right? They're 4 years apart, so I wanted them to not be pulled out of school. So I waited till my son was going into high school to move. So I was deliberate and I was just strategic in my efforts because I wanted to offer structure. I wanted to offer structure. And, one of the things also is that my children will often say, look, I have to have two of everything. I have to have two of everything, and I don't like it, And I would say, I know, but look at it as a beautiful thing. You have two shampoos. You have two toothbrushes. You have two, pairs of sneaks, right? Well, they have more sneakers than that, but you understand my gist, right? Right. So it's important for them to have structure and consistency, right? Another thing is also number 7 is I want you to document and maintain records, especially if you're going through a custody battle, right? You need to keep your records of any significant events related to the children, not to you, right? Such as doctor's appointments, extracurricular activities, right? And school events. This helps, right? In a case of any disputes that come up or any legal purposes, it helps and it is often needed, right? So if it gets really toxic, start documenting when it's taking place, okay? And then of course, number 8, I always have 7 points, but I went to number 8 is I want you to seek legal advice if necessary. If your ex-husband or ex-wife's behavior becomes increasingly challenging, or if you have concerns about the safety and well-being of your children, consult with an experienced family law attorney, not a criminal attorney, not a tax attorney, a family law attorney, because they know the rules. They know what laws are available in your state according to family concerns and child custody, right? And what they can do is they can provide a guidance in navigating legal processes and help protect your children's best interests. Because remember, my friends, when dealing with a difficult ex-spouse, may be very challenging and can really do a doozy on your mental, emotional, and also your physical health. So it's important for you to focus on, right, what you have control over, right? And also being in a place where you can create a safe and positive environment for your children. Because, my friends, it is not an easy task. It's not an easy task dealing with someone who has mental health issues or dealing with someone who's very bitter because you guys have gotten divorced, or very bitter that their life is not what they had thought it would have been because of the breakup of the relationship. And what they do is they take it out on you. And so I will highly recommend, right, my friends, and I'm saying this, I'm speaking to you from my heart, I will highly recommend that you seek spiritual, pastoral counseling, as well as God plus therapy equals greatness, as well as a licensed clinician, right? That's why I have my Empower You 2 school, right? And I'm saying this not from an advertisement perspective, but because it's a community of individuals coming together and saying, look, this is what we're going to do. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for you. And how can we, work together? In addition, we go through modules and we really specify specific areas such as love relationships, such as emotional breakups and things of that nature, right? We specify and focus on each topic per month, where you get lots of assignments, where I support you individually, and also you get accountability from a group. So my friends, it's important for you to be in a place where you are taking care of you, you're protecting your peace, and also you are making sure that you are creating a level of stability and happiness. Well, you know what I say about happiness, joy for your children. So let's just do a quick recap. Okay? Hope you're following me. Hope you're following me. I hope you're taking notes as well, right? And of course, sharing this content. All right. So the first thing is I want you to put yourself first. I want you to really put yourself first and really examine how you're feeling. Examine how you're feeling. Get therapy for yourself, right? Just like I spoke about my client that came in, she looked amazing, looked fabulous, but she was dying inside because of what happened and what her ex-husband had done to her. Okay? And so she was in my office seeking help because she knew that if she did not seek help for herself, she was going to fall apart. And where would her kids go? And who would her kids rely on? Okay? So the first is yourself. Second is your children. Some people might disagree with me, but I say that when you're on a plane, an airplane, and the oxygen mask falls down, the stewardess gives you instructions. If you have a young child or a child sitting next to you, and the oxygen mask would drop in a case of an emergency, right? You put the mask on you first and then the child sitting next to you. Why? Because if you are passed out unconscious, who's going to take care of that child? My point exactly, my friends. My point exactly. So and then you want to focus on your children. Remember, they are a priority as well. Well, yeah, they're a big part of the priority, right? And you want to put yourself, your well-being at first, and then their joy and happiness second. I should say, yeah, absolutely. Third is maintain clear and respectful communication. Try to keep the communication polite, even though you cannot stand them. Oh my gosh. Even though you cannot stand them, try to create a level of respectful communication. And if the communication is not respectful because you can't change or really dictate how another person responds or reacts, then I say, which leads to point 4, is set boundaries. Set boundaries. Number 5 is consider mediation or counseling, family counseling. Right? Number 6, focus on consistency and routine and structure for your children. That is what they'll remember. It's the structure. Try to surround them with so much love and respect. And also not talking about the other parent to the child because they don't want to have to choose sides. They don't want to have to do that. Okay? Number 7, document and maintain as many records, right? You want to keep anecdotal records of significant events and also things that have not been so good, just in case you need to bring it to court. Okay. Number 8, seek legal advice. I can't stress this enough. If it's getting tumultuous, if it's getting really toxic and the children are really behaving negatively from it and you can't function, you might have to seek a legal attorney, specifically, right, a family law attorney. Okay. And so my goal, my team, my goal, my friends, my goal, my family is for you to be in a place where you are doing what needs to happen, right? And that was my 8th point, right? And so what is the homework assignment or the empowerment assignment for today? Is I want you to evaluate what your situation is. And when I say evaluate, I want you to get to your journal and I want you to write down, is it a good situation? And I'm so excited for those who have great situations, right? So excited. But for those who are dealing with a difficult spouse, an ex-spouse, and you have children that are also involved in all of this, what is it that's happening? Write it down, get it out, and then say, what is it that you are doing to contribute to it? Or what are you doing to take away from it? Right? Because the takeaway is what we really want to focus on. What are you doing? Write down all the great things that you're doing, and I want you to be in that place of thankfulness. Because God won't give us more than we can bear. And oftentimes when those things come, we have to do some self-reflecting and say, you know what, that means that I'm getting to the next level of amazing, of prosperity. And so this is a test. This is a test to see how well you do. And so my friends, my family, guys, you know what I say. It's important for you to make the decision to choose you. And this is what this podcast is about. Learning how to choose you and also make better choices through my own experience, as well as those that I've counseled for the past 24, almost 25 years. So with that said, I'm so excited that you joined me today. I'm excited that we had this moment to really have a conversation and discuss those things that may be very difficult and sometimes people don't like to talk about. But here on this Empower You 2 podcast, we talk about it. We really do. So, my friends, you to be empowered for greatness, because without greatness, there is no you, and without you, there's no greatness. See you on the other side. Bye. If you are loving this content and our time together as we become empowered for greatness and you want to connect with me more, I would love for you to come and check out my Self-Empowerment Scholars. It's my monthly empowerment sessions where we take all of the materials learned on the podcast and apply it and study it and take it to the next level. So join me over at Empower You, the letter U, 2, right? The number 2.com/join, or you can text the word empower to 571-464-6511. That's text the word empower to 571-464-6511. Also, if you've ever gained an ounce of wisdom or the episode resonated with you, I simply ask that you do 4 things. The first is I want you to subscribe right now if you have not done so already. The second is I want you to hit that 5-star button on your favorite platform. The third is I want to hear from you. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear how it has resonated for you. In addition, the last, I want you to share this message with someone. It allows us to spread the message of empowerment to those who are desperately in need. So I look forward to seeing you on the next episode, and I want you to be what? Empowered for greatness. See you soon. Bye.